Hello. Hello, everyone. Right, two apologies first. First, we're a little late on. I vowed to myself that I'd complete level 141 of Candy Crush Saga before coming on. Took a bit longer than I thought. Second apology, if there was a definitive guide to making money from kids' apps, we'd be having this session on my super yacht in the bay. This is an area that's wonderfully exciting and wonderfully terrifying in equal measures. It's an area where you can make big brands in a matter of months and where big brands can come on and flop straight away. So what we're doing today is, we may not be definitive, but the idea is we've got three marvelous panelists here who have released apps, have done creative work, and they have grappled with the daily challenges of how you find an audience and how you make money in the world of the app stores. And they're going to share their experiences. It's all about what they've learnt, what they're still learning, and what you can hopefully go away and take with you. And the usual message you often hear at conferences about this kind of area is the kids are using tablets and smartphones in their tens of millions, which is true. Kids expect to find the content they love on those devices, which is true. And things like Angry Birds are huge, which is also true. And the implication is always it's going to be easy to then go on there, make loads of money, and everyone will be rich. And it's actually a very interesting place because it's not that easy. So we're going to bring things back down to earth a little bit, but in a constructive way, with a focus on what can you learn, what can you take away with you that's useful. We're going to start with each panelist introducing themselves and the apps they've done briefly. Then I have some questions, and then we're going to throw it open to you guys. I think you probably have some questions too. We're going to try and breeze through it in half an hour, but there's going to be a speaker session afterwards, and you can go outside and meet each speaker individually and kind of grill them on your things or talk to them about the stuff you could do together. So we're going to start with Caroline Barron here from Yummico, who also has who's the first Oscar-nominated person I've ever interviewed on stage. So you come from the film world into the children's app space, and you're going to show off what you've been doing, and then we go from there.
Hello. Thank you, Stuart, and thank you for putting me first so I don't have to follow up Toca Boca. 47 million downloads and the digits. So yes, I come from the feature film world. Oh, there, whoop, went the wrong way. So I've done some movies, and I guess I was nominated for an Oscar, which was a lot of fun for Capote. I also started a nonprofit organization that uses film and video to educate, entertain, and inform refugees and displaced people. So I care a lot about media and how we use media. And I was very fortunate to have met Tracy Page Johnson, right there, who is the creator of Blue's Clues. And I met her in a great way. Her son, Oliver, and my son, Asher, became best friends in preschool. I actually had never heard of Blue's Clues before I met Tracy. Obviously, my learning curve was pretty steep. So we formed a company together with our husbands called Yummico, and we're making content for kids, quality content for preschoolers. And our first product, the company's called Yummico. The motto is delicious media, good and good for you. And our first product is an app, is a part of a brand called Yummy Lou. And the app is called Yummy Lou Rainbow Power. And it's been very well received. It's gotten a lot of awards, great responses all around. I won't tell you how many downloads. There's Tracy showing it. Yummy! And here's a little promo.
Yummy life, take a bite. Yummy Lou.
It's a lot of work. So when we started the company, we thought we're going to make apps. We're going to make a ton of money on apps. This is going to be great. It's the future. It's the now. That didn't happen. So we realized what we're really doing with apps is we are building an audience and seeding the market with apps, so that we can then take those characters and those properties and move them and distribute them onto other forms of content, of distribution, like television series. With Yummy Lou, we've partnered with WNET in New York. Who knows who they are? So they are the New York public television station for PBS. So Rainbow Power has done really well. It's had a lot of success, as I mentioned. And we are moving into other areas of distribution. And here's one of them.
What is yummy? Yummy.
Yum, 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 yum.
Yummy is yummy. Red foods are yummy.
Go beanie, go beanie.
Green foods are yummy.
Go pear, go pear.
Orange and yellow foods are yummy.
Go Rudy, just shake it.
Yummy. Yum.
Make healthy choices, right? When you have snack time. Make healthy choices, right? When you have
Yummy. Comes from the sun, make it us so hum. Rub your tongue, say yum, yum, yum. You know what to do the Yummy Lou.
So that's a music video. With NET, we're doing a public media site that will have webisodes, we're going to have books, we're going to have all different kinds of content distributed on all different platforms, starting with the app, obviously, as our first entree. We have other properties like Edison, the Invention Detective, which we are now partnering with a US distributor and a Canadian partner to do an episode, which will be an app, but it will be a narrative, interactive app that will be like a pilot. So instead of a pilot, traditional pilot, it'll be an app. Then intention is to have an actual television series from there. I'm going to go quickly because I know that my time's running out. Edison, the Adventures of Ash and Ollie is another one. We have an app coming out in a few weeks called Screen Time. And again, we're going to have the app come first, hopefully followed by other kinds of content distribution. That's us. Thank you.
I think when I'm in my hotel tomorrow having my fruit breakfast, that song's going to be running around my head, I think. Second up, we have Jonas Carlsson from Toca Boca, which, if you have children of a certain age, they are one of the most loved familiar brands for parents and kids. And he's going to talk about what they've been doing with their apps. He's going to sit down for that. So far away.
Yes. So let's see if we can get... Do I need to push? This. So, all right. Now let's start with the trailer. It's going to be the loudest this song has ever been played. So that was Toca Builders, which was a game or a toy we released. We're not a game studio. We're a play studio. We released it June 20th, and it has sort of that show how we promote our games or our toys. Sorry. But as it says, we make digital toys for kids. We think, for Toca Builders example, we thought about it as Etch-a-Sketch more than we thought about it as a game. We sort of often give examples of Play-Doh as something we're inspired by rather than sort of it has progression. We think of it as very open, very creative. So we launched our first product in 2011. Since then, we launched 18 more. We're at 47 million downloads, which is sort of an odd number to announce. We're probably going to announce it at 51 million downloads or something like that next time. But so that's sort of how we start. And we are digital toys only. We don't do anything else. Our only revenue stream are paid apps. There's no third-party advertising, no in-app purchases, no TV, no licensing, nothing like that. So we're about 30 people making a living out of that. And so I just wanted to make that clear for the next part of the session. And so some short bullet points on what has worked for us. And this is no guide. This is just what has worked for us. So we don't do the types of franchises. We do one brand. We're building the Toca Boca brand. So we're not building, sort of Toca Builders is not going to have something separate. Or you can expect a follow-up, or you can expect anything else from Toca Builders. But Toca Builders is building Toca Boca. So we've been very clear on that, and we've been very sort of in all our communication, as you saw in the beginning of the trailer, they have sort of that that intro animation, which is different every time. The icon, we were kind of early with putting the logo on the icon just to make that very clear. So trying to have a brand framework that is very consistent on all our apps. And we're trying to build trust through principles, which are sort of that the parents should be able to feel safe. You can always give a Toca Boca app to your kid without having to worry about advertising, in-app purchases, or anything going to happen. We wanted to build that level of trust. And then product quality. We feel that by putting out 19 what we believe are fantastic products, we've also built sort of the parents' trust over time. And we try to learn the market. Its App Store is a new place. The behavior changes from year to year, month to month, week to week. We do a lot of testing in terms of sort of prices, descriptions, everything like that. And we're very data-driven as well in terms of sort of setting the price strategy, setting the launches, what is free, what is not free. So we're really sort of focused on trying to learn by testing. And we also focus a lot. We don't, by saying no to TV, by saying no to licensing, by saying no to publishing, by saying no to developing apps for others, or licensing our apps out to others, we've been very focused on just creating the new app. So that has been helpful for us in order to create a somewhat sustainable business. So we've been profitable for the last 2 years. That's a sort of, yeah, I think that's us.
There's definitely some good beats going on in this kids apps world, isn't it? Everything's it's all quite techno. Finally, we have Scotty Iseri of the Digits, which is an app I think it's really fascinating because it blends education with televisual aspects with interactivity. And he is going to show you a bit about that, and then after that we're going to move to the questions. So,
hi. I wish they would have let you go last, frankly. I'm going to introduce you to the Digits. The Digits are the greatest unknown rock band in the galaxy. And they look like this. There's a lot of educational apps out there on the marketplace. But do your kids actually like using them? Meet the Digits.
People of the universe, my name is Pi.
And I am Gorgalax.
And I'm Ray Ray.
And we are the Digits.
Hello, Harvey.
This isn't one of those things where you can just sit there and watch. You're the fourth member of our band, and without your help, we can't get anywhere.
So, thank you. So that's all in-app footage. We developed an engine that lets us take any kind of video footage and embed interactions on it. And those interactions change the outcome of the story. So we think of it as an interactive storytelling engine rather than just a game engine. The idea is that the story changes depending on what kids need. If they succeed in blasting through the deadly Black Flag asteroid belt, then they get to go on to the next adventure and save the universe. If they fail, they crash land and meet the deadly space worm and get to practice the skills before they try again. For us, it's all about connecting with their audience, right? I'm sure you've seen a kid go up to a flat screen TV and touch it and say it's broken because it's not changing. With our app, we also do live episodes via Skype. We have a partnership with Skype in the classroom so that we can connect with kids in classrooms and talk directly to them. We also do web video. We're in the YouTube for Schools program and on PBS Learning Media. That's where we answer kids' questions either through a comment or we actually have kids sending us videos that we then incorporate into something that we're doing. The real secret to what we're doing is the way we interact with parents. The app has a subscription service for parents where as the kids are playing, we track their interactions and we can tell the parents what they're learning, how they're learning it, and how to talk to them about it at the dinner table or at the grocery store and really make the education relevant. Press likes us, yada, yada, yada. But we get great reactions from fans. I just like this because the two little girls in the middle dressed up like our characters for Halloween last year with homemade costumes. It's our first licensing deal. And the big news is that we've made a partnership to create a half-hour broadcast version of the show, and we're working on ways to combine the kind of interactivity that we have with our audience into something like a linear narrative. We're the first digital series to get film incentives from the state of Oregon. I think nationwide in the States. I haven't found any other projects like it, but I can for sure say Oregon. And that's the Digits, and I have swag for people that ask questions. So.
Fantastic, thank you. So we have 10 minutes to set the app's world right to rights, which seems easy enough. So I'm going to encourage short and definitive answers.
Okay.
But I have two main questions, really, I think everyone's asking. One is, there is this audience of kids out there, there's loads of kids with tablets, how do you reach them? And the second question is, how do you make money from them? So I guess, in terms of how you're reaching, how are you finding kids, how are they finding your apps, and how are you then turning them into a community? I guess, Scotty first.
We do it through partnerships. So we have a partnership with Skype, partnership with YouTube. We're trying to align ourselves with these trusted brands because ultimately it's the parents that are making the purchase decision. And so by aligning ourselves with brands that parents already know and trust, we rise on that tide as well, and we get access to their audience.
Okay. I mean, Jonas, when you have 47 million downloads, you have a community of people now, parents. And how has that been built? 'Cause that hasn't been overnight, even though it's been quite quick. How did you reach that point?
Yeah, so when we ask how they find our products, it's mostly about, almost everyone says, I heard it through, someone told me about Toca Boca. And I think it's sort of, were able to time it right, so we came out in the market on a good spot. And with the quality of the products has built a sort of a small community on themselves for every launch. Since we're building Toca Boca all the time, every launch sort of builds upon that. So the community has grown and grown and grown, and now it's quite sustainable. It's very it's quite big. And we also, but then I think it's interesting to find those niche audiences as well. I think it's hard to find the big audience straight away. So, for example, we have a lot of SLP teachers, speech learning pathologists, that uses our apps, sharing sort of learning lessons, very passionate about very passionate digital users, and share sort of why they think Toca Boca. So I think a number of those community helps build the bigger community. Yes.
I mean, Caroline, you obviously have experience of how films are marketed and find an audience. What's surprised you in the good or bad ways about how you found an audience for your apps?
Well, I think it's very challenging to get a big audience, and I want to know what the secret sauce is at Toca Boca. But what we're doing is we're also aligning ourselves with other brands that we feel are in line with our brand. We want to be a trusted brand for parents as well. But it feels like social media is the place to do it because we're marketing to parents or directing our apps towards parents. Kids are not making the decisions. So it's really, I think it's about social media and trying to figure out how to get your name out there.
It's funny because there are social media agencies who promise they can make things go viral for you, but it seems everything I see, it's word of mouth. And
they can also make your genitals bigger, I'm told.
I see those adverts too.
I read something on the internet about it.
But it seems like it's hard work, word of mouth. There's no kind of quick fix, even though a lot of the big success stories, people assume that it's happened overnight, but it's more a case of...
So when we started out, when we launched our first two apps, Helicopter Taxi and Tea Party, we were making $50 a day in 2011. Then we released two more apps, Hair Salon and Robot Lab, and we were making $500-600 a day, but still not a sustainable business. What changed the first time for us was about making, for example, Hair Salon free for a limited time or period. That was sort of the first introduction for a lot of people to Toca Boca. And when we switched it back up, it was still sort of new people coming in. So that was sort of the first plateau that we reached. And then we've been able to build upon that. So it doesn't say it always works, but that was sort of what happened at our time, sort of the first bump we got.
And we noticed that when we released Yummico Rainbow Power for free, we had our largest day ever. Tremendous amount of people downloaded it for free. There's a big conversation about whether or not apps are valued more if you pay for them, as the consumer, or if you get them for free and then, become a part of the brand.
I guess that's the big question is how you make money on children's apps. And I saw a column the other day online that was saying it's all over for paid apps, except for niches. You have to go free and you have to make money in other ways, in-app purchases And in children's apps, that seems a bit problematic because you have a few scare stories in the press about my kid downloaded 1,000 quid worth of Smurf berries.
That's not in the press, that's in my house.
It's happened to you?
Yes, my 7-year-old, I wasn't even paying attention as the American Express notices kept coming in from iTunes that I thought it was a mistake why I kept getting all these iTunes emails. Like, what's going on with iTunes? He was downloading some in-app purchases and over $150 of in-app purchases. I'm like, what is this? And then he said he didn't really understand, but I'm not so sure about that, but it hasn't happened again. But it was really, I felt as a parent and as a content creator and an app creator that I do not want to have in-app purchases in that way where kids can just, innocently be purchasing.
He's at level 300 in Candy Crush Saga now, though, on the plus side. So, you have different views. You have all experimented with free and paid. I know, Toca Boca, you have a policy of not doing in-app purchases. Not that you sort of look down on people who do, but it's not worked for you, is that?
Yeah, I think you can do in-app purchasing well, and you can do it in a bad way. We've sort of wanted to stay very clear on message that you don't have to do it, or that you will never have that in a Toca Boca app. So for us, it has worked. I know there is definitely, it all sort of, when you say sort of the gaming category, then you're going to have massive, sort of, the App Store market for the gaming category is so much bigger than for the education market, for example. So for us, it has worked by being sort of big in one category and not avoiding a bit of the big gaming category. I think so.
And Scotty, you were saying, I mean, you've used a subscription model and parents paying. I mean, is that something that you're seeing working well? Parents are committing to subscription and saying, I like this, I'm going to pay for it.
Yeah, I think part of it is the subscription is not something kids want to buy. So when they go to our in-app, we do in-app purchases, and part of that is about access. We want kids that may not have an allowance to get apps or that may not have the resources, which is also why we develop for Android as well as iOS, just dealing with a bigger audience there. But we've been experimenting with various. So we have a freemium version, a premium version that includes everything, and yeah, I think it's the fact that it's the purchases aren't something that kids are interested in. That it's the parents that are buying and making the purchase that makes it work.
And one of the things I see a bit is that the people who seem to be doing well, they don't have one model that works. They're constantly experimenting, whether it's by dropping prices or playing with free or playing around with it. I mean, that seems to be one of the big lessons, is that you can't just think you'll find the model straight away and stick with it. But you have to
I think it's all very new, and we're all learning as we go. And I think we all have to be flexible and sort of learn as we are, releasing each product and see what works and see what doesn't work. But you have to stay in it for the long haul and not give up if you can possibly do that.
I also think it's a very different relationship that kids and parents have with that device. It's in your hand, it's right here, and so it's a very different trust that you have with your audience. It's not a shout broadcast. It's something that they're actively interacting with and working with. And so the stuff that you guys do that is on message and builds trust and is a great brand, but it's just the right thing to do,
Absolutely.
I mean, this isn't one of the questions we prepared, but I saw a talk earlier on about people saying kids have a huge hunger for content on these devices and they want lots and more. How do you look at that sort of thing? I mean, do you kind of feel a pressure to do lots of content and push updates up regularly, or how do you kind of feed, I guess, what your audience are looking for?
Regular content pushes. We try to do 2 web videos a month in addition to the apps, and we're currently fundraising for the next round of episodes.
Yeah, I think it's always the day we release the trailer for the next app, everyone asking, what's the next app? So it's always like, you want more content all the time. What's the next thing? So we're definitely seeing that and trying to push out regularly. We've done a lot first year, a little less second year, and even less third year. So we're going to try to keep it up a bit on the fourth year.
And we're a little different in that we are actually building brands. We're not just releasing apps. So for us, it's about really building out each experience and each brand, starting with the app or several apps within a brand. So within Yummico, within Edison, the Adventure Detective, within the Adventures of Ash and Ollie, having apps, but also building the audience again so that we can also release other properties.
Great. Well, look, we've gone red, so I would love to get some questions from the crowd. Scotty's going to throw a T-shirt in the face if anyone brave enough to put their hand up. So do we have any questions from the crowd? If not, I can ask one.
This one right here.
Oh, hello. Is there around the front? Hello. The mic is coming around, I think, so you can hear you. I think it's coming from the back.
Here, heads up.
She's like...
Yeah. Here you go. Okay, fire away.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I have a question about, you were talking earlier about Toca Boca and playing with price points a little bit and changing up how descriptions read and using data in order to inform. I'm just curious how often on a certain, let's just take one single toy or one game, and how often you're actually making those changes. And what do you feel is a valid time to test the market to see what's working?
I would say we since we have quite a lot to test on, we don't do them that often for every single app. We do them from time to time in when we feel trying to sort of not reinvent it, but sort of get it going again, that app. So then we often do, maybe we do it like a couple of weeks, something like that, a week or a couple of weeks, just to try what has happened. And then we sort of change it back down or change it back up and see, does it stay on sort of the download volume, or does it don't? Because these are apps that are not pushed in the App Store or pushed in other places, so they're fine through sort of brand recognition or search terms. So they sort of perform. Then that's why it's sort of interesting to see what happens with them when they change the prices. Sometimes they actually goes down quite a lot. Sometimes they stay on revenue, or even increase in revenue. So I can't say sort of a certain time, but yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So okay, we have one more question then at the back there, and then we'll be ending, so it'll be time afterwards. So the mic's coming around to this side, I think. Here you go. It's a challenge. You ready to catch a t-shirt as well?
You ready for this?
Yeah, you got to throw.
It's a lawsuit in the making. Oh, good arm.
It's interesting because the topic being about monetization and some of the stuff like that. And it seems that in the app world, let's say the general app world, the non-kids world, there's lots of models: subscription, one-off purchases in app, advertising, stuff like that. Do you, given what all of you have sort of said about that, is the subscription model, in one sense, the only, how would I say, legitimate or ethical way that you think that this works, or do we blend into things like advertising and stuff like that? I'm interested in the models and the opinions at it, specifically for the kids space, and your opinions on each one of those.
None of the child-facing media that we control has ads in it, and I think it's the same thing with free apps. There's a mistrust sometimes, like, when are you gonna do this later? But with advertising, I think it's a trust issue. It's more important to us that we maintain the trust with the parent than we make 12 cents off of 1,000 views of an ad.
But the subscription model, I don't know the answer. I feel like we've gone back and forth ourselves about that, and I think it's a matter of, again, seeing what works. It's definitely a model that we've contemplated and continue to contemplate in terms of
the advertising model you've contemplated?
The subscription model.
Subscription, okay.
Advertising, I mean, you legally cannot advertise to kids. I mean, we all have to be COPA compliant, and in the U.S., you have to be compliant. But and we are, again, I think for preschool, we're not really even selling to kids. We're selling to parents. They're making the decisions. So.
So look, I'm really sorry because we are out of time. The one thing I'd say, the biggest learning I have is learning from each other. Whenever I hear people talk about what they're learning, everyone's got a different experience. So I'd encourage you to kind of go to the speakers meet outside and chat to everyone here and get cards and follow up. And actually, by default of being here, you're probably interested in apps and the people around you are. So if you bump into each other later in the show, share experiences and talk about what's worked for you and what hasn't, and then drink to your sorrows or have champagne if it's been good. But I'd like to say thank you to our panelists. You're going to be all outside in the little private bar there, but it's not private. You can go in and have a chat. And otherwise, enjoy the rest of the show. And also check the other thing I do here, the reason I'm here, I do the MIP blog. And we are live blogging sessions, and there's a lot of questions about apps. So if you go there, you can read a lot of stuff about what other people have been saying. And yes, have a great show, and thank you very much.
Thank you.